Okay, good morning, everyone. We're going to give everyone another minute or two to come in. We'll get started. See the number ticking up there. See if I can take a look and see how many are in Colorado. And of course I can. So. Okay. Well, I think we're going to get started. Good morning, everyone. My name is Andre Hargrave, and I am the Director of the Minority Business Development Agency here in the Rocky Mountain region. I'm also the Senior Procurement Consultant here at this particular center. We're going to have fun today because we have someone who I've known for a very long time and someone who actually cares about small business. That's a great thing. So before we get started, I'm going to have to, like they say on TV, pay the bills. Right, so I'm going to talk just a moment to talk about the Minority Business Development Agency and what we do to help socially and economically disadvantaged businesses. So there are 40 MBDAs around the country, which are the MBDA centers. A lot of them have different expertise that you can come in at no cost. We're federally funded. And there's an additional 40 different organizations that's funded by the MBDA at various colleges around the country with different disciplines, everything from manufacturing to international trade, financing, venture capital, those kind of things. And even though this center doesn't get into all of those different disciplines, we can easily make a referral or work with you through those other centers. And with that said, my team is here. I do believe a member of my team is here, Carlene Johns, who is our program assistant. So if you have any questions or you want to become a client of the MBDA, feel free after this to just reach out to us, or we're going to reach out to you and see how we can help. With that said, I'd like to introduce Rexanne Dunn. Rexanne is the Small Business Director over at the NREL, National Renewable Energy Laboratory. And she's got some great information. And with that said, I would like to turn it over to you, Rexanne.
All right, thank you so much, Andre. You know, as Andre said, we've been friends for a long time. I've been with NREL in this position for 15 years, and I think we've known each other for at least that long, and it's good to see you and good to be working with you. And thank you for the invitation to, talk to your audience about NREL a little bit, what we do. I am going to turn off my camera to avoid any freeze-ups or any technical difficulties while I present. So let me turn my camera off and share my screen. And we will get started. So today I am going to, I don't know who's in the audience, unfortunately, so I don't know if you know about NREL, but I'm going to give you a real high level overview of NREL. Then of course I'm going to dive into our small business program, our procurement processes, how to navigate the NREL website so you can find those opportunities. Touch briefly on our Mentor Protege program that we have here, and then I'll leave you with my contact information and answer any questions that you might have. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with the DOE hierarchy and how it works. NREL is one of 17 national laboratories under the Department of Energy. We are underneath the silo of EERE, which is the Energy Efficiency Renewable Energy Silo, or portion of the Department of Energy. The Department of Energy has all sorts of silos. You have Office of Science, Office of Legacy, EERE, NNSA, etc. And most of the Department of Energy's funding flows down to the national labs, and then we use that for R&D for the Department of Energy. So NREL is what is known as an M&O contractor, which means that we are managed and operated by the Alliance for Sustainable Energy for the Department of Energy. And the Alliance for Sustainable Energy is made up of Battelle Memorial Institute and MRI Global out of Kansas City, which is they're a joint venture, and they manage NREL. We started in 1977 as the Solar Energy Research Institute, and were designated a national laboratory by President Bush in 1991. Our main campus is here in Golden, Colorado. We also have a Flatirons campus up near Boulder. And then we have another campus that opened a few years ago up in Fairbanks, which is our cold climate housing research campus. So if you're familiar with Colorado and you're heading out I-70 towards the mountains to enjoy your fly fishing or hiking or whatever you do up there, if you look to the right as you get to the Denver West area, you can see our main campus there tucked up against the foothills. For our Flatirons campus, I don't know if you've been up around El Dorado Canyon on Highway 93, just south of Boulder, but you'll see all those big wind turbines, and that's where we do our wind research up there. We are the only federal laboratory dedicated to renewable energy and energy efficiency technologies. Some of the other 16 may play around in that arena a little bit, but they also do other work, let's say like in nuclear or something like that. So this is a picture of our campus tucked up in the foothills. As of this particular slide, we had 2,900 employees. I think we're getting close to 4,000 right now, 3,500 employees. We're expanding our campus by meets and bounds and doing a lot of construction out here. We have more than 900 partnerships with industry, academia, and government. And then our campus operates as a living laboratory. It's this building that you kind of see in the front there with the windows on it. That's known as the Energy Systems Integration Facility, or ESIF, and it's got about 20 different labs in there that people can use. It's a DOE user facility. So let's say that GE wants to come in and test a new washing machine and see what kind of power it pulls on the grid. They'll be able to do that. And car manufacturers can come in and they can plug in to see how the EV works and things like that. The building over to the left of the picture that's kind of set back a little bit is called our research support facility. And a lot of the technology that we've developed out here at NREL, we use on campus, and that's why it's known as a living laboratory. The research support facility houses about 800 support staff for all the other researchers and all those other labs out here on campus. Some of the programs that we support the Department of Energy on are renewable power. Everybody knows what that is, right? Solar, wind, water, geothermal. We also work with a lot of vehicle manufacturers on sustainable transportation, what that looks like, hydrogen fuel cells, biofuels, etc. We have a buildings department that works on energy efficiency for retrofitting buildings and how we can bring solar and wind and renewable energy into some of those buildings and commercial buildings. And then, as I mentioned, we have our energy systems integration laboratory where people can work with grid integration and see how efficient their product is that they want to get out into market. And the reason we do all that is to create a safer America through energy security. So that's a little bit high level about NREL. I would encourage you, if you're interested in coming out and seeing the campus, to reach out to our public affairs department. We do tours out here. We have worked with the Mountain Plains Minority Supplier Development Council in the past and done some tours for them. So if you're interested, I would encourage you to come out and take a look. So typically we award between $150 million and $200 million annually in subcontracts. That's kind of what we project to do. These are the types of products and services that we purchase, anything from IT hardware and software, support services. Like I said, we're doing a lot of construction out here on campus. We're remodeling some of the labs. We're always looking for, MEPs or, general contractors, people with niche opportunities. A lot of the bigger construction out here for the labs are going to be done by, of course, large businesses, because, just large businesses need to handle that. And so a lot of those large businesses, those large general contractors, you might reach out to them and see if they've put their team together yet. Let's see if you can get on that team if you're interested working out here underneath them. Then, of course, we purchase office supplies, janitorial supplies, as well as professional services. In FY24, we kind of exceeded that 150 to 200 million, and we're estimating about 271 million in subcontracting opportunities this year, with 42% of that, or about 114 million, going to small business. Historically, we've done about 56% going to small business, but again, because of the large campus build-outs and the amount of money going to those large construction firms, we're needing to lower that a little bit. But in saying that, we did increase our small disadvantaged this year from 7% to 12%, and then women-owned at 7%. Service disabled veterans, service hub zone, and veteran-owned are at the statutory 3%. These are the top 10 NAICS codes that we had in 2023, and these are by number of awards. It's not by dollar amounts. So the most awards that we made were, they were in this order: to other scientific and technical consulting services, down to non-residential building construction. This year, that's probably going to be flipped, yeah, if you've got a NAICS code, if you're a vendor, have one of these NAICS codes, know that we're purchasing products or services from them. So for procurement process, it's pretty much the same as anybody. We have to make sure that we've identified a requirement, a project, and that we've received funds from the Department of Energy for that project. Then what we call, a lot of people call them program managers, project leads, we call them technical monitors here at NREL, TMs. They're going to submit a package or a scope of work to our acquisition services or procurement department. And then they're going to work closely with them to decide how we want to go out and market the opportunity, if they need to engage the small business office for potential sources. In the past, I know we've worked closely again with the council and with Andre and, the MBDA when we've had trouble finding some of those vendors to fill particular opportunities. So they've approached our acquisition services department. We've decided that, let's say, a source of sod is going to go out because we want to see if, there's anybody out there who might be able to provide a service that we're looking for. So we're going to utilize, of course, sam.gov. We're going to utilize GSA. We're going to utilize our industry partners like the MBDA, the council, the different chambers, Small Business Administration. And then we're going to market the opportunity accordingly, receive the responses, review them, and then make the award. We do have set-asides. We do not do socioeconomic set-asides, but we do small business set-asides up to $250,000, as well as small business construction set-asides up to $5 million. So how do you find those opportunities? This is a snapshot of our webpage. You can find it. It's highlighted in red up there at the top, NREL.gov. If you go into Partner with Us and scroll down to Procurement, it'll take you to this page. And under the procurement page, there's a couple of highlighted areas I want to talk to you about. One is where to find those opportunities. One is how to get registered in our small business vendor database. And then, of course, in order to do business with us, as well as the federal government, you need to be registered in sam.gov. So for opportunities, if you click on the opportunities link there, it's going to show you, this is just a snapshot, and we've got dozens of opportunities out there that are posted on sam.gov. Personally, Nothing against sam.gov. It's a great vehicle. I find it a little cumbersome when searching sometimes. So if that's the case, you can always come out to our website, come to this opportunities page, scroll down through the links that we have out there on sam.gov, all those sources sought, RFQs, RFPs, click on it and it'll take you right to that page on sam.gov, and you can learn more about that opportunity. Down at the bottom of our opportunities page is our, what I call our known opportunities, our bigger opportunities, the ones that we know we're going to be doing year after year or every 5 years. We know we're going to need office supplies. So we're going to enter into, 5-year subcontract with an office supply vendor. Usually it's a 1-year base with 4 option years. We know we're going to need the shuttle service out here. We know that we're going to need construction out here, janitorial services. And the forecast is going to tell you what it is we're looking for, when we're coming out to start to look for that. And then as a point of contact out there that you can reach out to and say, hey, I'm interested in this. Has it been let out yet? If it's not been let out yet, please put me on your bid list. I would like to have an opportunity to take a look at that. So the small business link takes you to our small business commitment page. And small businesses, it's a big deal out here at NREL. Not only do we procure products and services from vendors, but we also help entrepreneurs who might have an EERE, energy efficiency technology that they were trying to get into the marketplace. And if you're an entrepreneur out there looking for that kind of support, you can go out to that ribbon up there that says partner with us. And you can scroll down to our entrepreneurship page and you can delve into that and find out how we help small business entrepreneurs, not with products and services that we want to purchase or procure, but if you've got a technology that you want to try to get into the marketplace. But over there on the right, we have a resources box. There's a couple of things I want to talk to about that box. One is our small business registration form. I always encourage small businesses to register. It's a pretty high level form. It does not get down into the weeds. It just wants to know who you are, how we contact you, where you're located at, what products and services that you have to offer. It wants to know your NAICS codes. It's also got a keywords section, and I'm really big on keywords. And the reason for that is I may know your NAICS code. Andre may know your NAICS code. Procurement may know NAICS codes, but our researchers don't. And they know that they need somebody who can help them to develop, let's say, battery storage, or help them, in some other way. So they're going to do more like a Google search in this database, and they're going to look for keywords out there that you might do. So let's say you're a advertising agency and you also do promotional products. They're not going to know that NAICS, so they might say, I want to search promotional products. So be sure and utilize that so that everybody can have access. Everybody in NREL has access to our database. And when they do market research, they should be going up there and looking. So make sure you do that. And then if you're in the construction industry, in 2022, we did a small business industry day webinar that kind of got down into the weeds about construction work out here at NREL. We had procurement representatives there, as well as our site operation representatives, talking about what it looks like to do business out here, because it's a little bit different than just doing business in industry. We call it, you're working behind the gates, even though you might not need some sort of security clearance. A lot of our guidelines and rules are dictated by the Department of Energy. And you have to remember that the Department of Energy also handles nuclear sites. And so our rules and our guidelines that need to be followed are going to be a little bit more strenuous than they might be out there in industry. We also have a mentor protege program. It's different, a little bit different than the SBA's mentor protege program, but it mirrors that. The Department of Energy is just a different agency, than other agencies, and we're unable to do the SBA's mentor protege programs, so we've done our own. These are some of the criteria that are required. You must have been in business for at least 2 years and be profitable. You must be eligible for government contracts. Again, you must be small. And years ago, you used to have to be small and have a socioeconomic designation, so you had to be like a small woman-owned business. They did away with that for a few years, but I think they're gonna be coming back with that. I'm not sure. There's some talk about coming back with needing to have a socioeconomic designation along with your small business designation. And you can't be in a DOE mentor protege agreement at the same time. You can have an SBA mentor protege agreement. Some of the vendors that I have talked to who have SBA MPAs in place that are interested in a DOE MPA find that they might not have the bandwidth to have 2 mentor protege agreements in place at the same time, but it's worth talking about. So one of the things that we do when we bring you on is, we mentor you in procurement. We have you bid on opportunities. Even though they're not competitive, we want to see what your bids look like, where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are. And then, we also want to mentor you in, again, how it is to do business out here behind the gates. We want to build those long-term relationships with our vendors because those are crucial. And yeah, we just, we enjoy working with small business out here. So what I want you to do is I want you to remember to go visit our website, make sure that you get your business registered in our database and include those keywords like I talked about. Visit our upcoming opportunities page so that you can find those opportunities that are out there. Make sure that you're registered at sam.gov. And if you'd like to, feel free to email me your capabilities statement and I will put it in the correct hands, or I will hang on to it. And when market research is done, I can certainly go out there and find it and provide that to the requester. And that's it. If you have any questions, I'm certainly happy to answer them, but it's pretty cut and dry. So I'm going to turn this back over to Andre and stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, Roxanne. And here's what we're going to do is, for anyone who has questions, let's just ask them. I think we're going to be able to put them in the Q&A. And this is a perfect opportunity to speak to someone who's inside the agency to answer a lot of our questions, because as BD folks, including myself, I own a firm also. A lot of times it's hard to get these questions answered. So right now we have someone inside. So let's ask the straight questions.
Anthony, it looks like you have your hand up, so we'll go ahead and allow you to talk here.
There we go. I had to unmute for some. I apologize. So Roxanne, I just do have one question. So we are a DoD FCL cleared company. Do you have a lot of opportunities that require clearance requirements? And are those listed separately if so?
I'm not aware of any security requirements for any work out here.
Okay. Thank you. I wasn't sure, but thank you for providing that.
All right, it looks like we also have a question from Mark. Mark, I'll allow you to talk here.
All right, how's that? Can you hear me now?
We
There we
can.
go.
Awesome. So I had a question about earlier, you had mentioned about getting in touch with public affairs for a tour. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Like, are these tours one-on-one? Are they group tours? How often do they happen? Does it matter our status with sam.gov prior to asking for a tour? Any information you could give?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And just off the cuff, my answer is I don't know. But I know that we historically, prior to COVID, we did tours like, say, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then we had to stop that, of course, and now they're engaging those back up. So I'm not real sure what that looks like, but if you'd like to send me your name, or if you're having trouble going out to our website, and I'm pretty sure that it's pretty user friendly when it comes to things like that. Looking up, NREL tours. They usually don't do one-on-one, I don't think. Like I said, they used to do public tours like at 10 o'clock on Tuesday mornings, and then you would sign up for that and then take a group of 10 people. I don't believe it's ever larger than a group of 10 people, simply because that's the hosting ratio for visitors that's out here. So, I don't, and you might be able to say, I want to specifically see the ESIF. When I set up a tour for like the Mountain Plains Council, we say we want a tour of the ESIF or the Research Support Facility or something like that. But yeah, go out there and just try to find. If you have trouble, please reach out to me, and I'd be happy to point you in the right direction.
That's great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then while we're waiting on other questions, Roxanne, what if a company has a product? I'll give you an example. The MBDA has a client that does e-bikes, and I think one or two of their e-bikes may be on campus, but what if they actually had a program that they wanted to introduce to the campus? Would they go through you?
That's a good question, Andre. And it's kind of a little bit more complicated, because so I had mentioned that we have to identify a need, a requirement, and if that's not identified, I don't want to say that we're not going to look at it, but we might look at that as an unsolicited proposal, somebody wanting to bring something into the lab to solicitates that we might not necessarily need or be a requirement of the Department of Energy. I mean, they certainly could reach out to me. It's just, I'd have to take that one offline. I'd have to think about that a little bit.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I do see a question, if you don't mind. Do we need to have an 8A registration to be a vendor? So, when I mentioned earlier in the program that we're an M&O contractor, one of the things that means to small businesses or to industry out there is that we're not an agency, and so we're not necessarily governed by the FAR, the Federal Acquisition Regulation. We're governed by our prime contract with the Department of Energy. And whereas an agency might do 8A set-asides, that's not part of our prime contract with DOE. So you do not need to have an 8A registration to be, and in fact, we don't go out looking for 8A companies and do 8A set-asides. That's just not a part. Ours are the ones that I mentioned: small women-owned, veteran-owned, service-disabled veteran-owned, hub-zone, and women-owned SDBs. So, yeah. And I think that there's some rules coming down. I don't know enough to talk about it right now, but regarding certifications. So I'll touch base on that real quick. Historically, you have not had to have a certification to work at NREL unless you were hub zone. Then you had to have an SBA certification. But I think those rules are changing a little bit. So I would encourage that if you are a woman-owned company, service-disabled veteran-owned company, or veteran-owned company, that you look into that if you want to do business. Look into getting certified.
Roxanne, it looks like we have a question from Priya. Priya, go ahead, and you should be unmuted if you'd like to ask it.
Hi, this is Priya Kathrish. So thank you for giving an opportunity to learn more about NREL and the procurement process. So I would like to know, like, I am a wholesaler of food and beverage, 100% natural products in the US. So I just want to see if like Department of Energy will have an opportunity to put my products in the cafeteria at different locations. So it's all certified products.
Mhm.
So yeah, so it's like GMO free, and then it's a vegan and halal and kosher certified. So my products are all certified products. So I just want to see if I can directly apply for NREL, or you can connect me to some other prime contractors. So at least I can work with them.
Yeah, so that's great. I wish that I'm a vegetarian vegan, so I can certainly appreciate that. However, that being said, there's a I don't know what I want to call it. So the ability one, okay, and as part of the Department of Energy, our cafeteria, we have to procure our services through Ability One, which means, you know, hard of seeing, and handicapped in some way. And so we're under a contract for that. So we would probably not be able to contract with you, unfortunately, unless you were an Ability One contractor.
So how do you differentiate ability one? So how do because I'm a small business entrepreneur, I'm a woman owned and then the minority owned
Mhm.
business. So how do I enter into this ability one? Is there any other steps that I have to follow?
Well,
Well,
I
what-
think that I think, so I am not a procurement guru. I don't know that much about all the nuts and bolts and all the granular pieces about Ability One. But I know that like you have to have a handicap in some way. So like the vendor that we procure with, I believe are I don't want to say legally blind, but that's their handicap. And I think that that's Ability One, is that you have to be handicapped physically in some way. And you can certainly Google that and look up, Ability One government and learn more about what it takes to be under that program.
Okay, thank you. But
Mhm.
I think I can, Priya, if you want to talk to me offline, I can talk a little bit about a building one we've sold to them in the past. And Nish Nib and the building one used to be Janice Wagner O'Day. So I can help you with those programs because they're federal programs, and I can make those introductions for you.
Andre, did I
Awesome.
watch that really bad? I just don't know that much about it.
No, no, you don't hear about them very much. I just happen to know of them because other governmental entities work with them also.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, there's three of them. There's the National Institute of the Blind, the Handicap, and then there was JWAD, and then there was which is Janice Wagner O'Day. So, yep, I can help you with those kind of programs.
okay, Andrea, I'll get in touch with you.
Yep, yep.
Thanks.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, any other questions? Rexanne did an excellent job, and I just want to give everyone one last opportunity to get those basic questions out before you follow up. And I'll just leave it open for a moment here.
So,
Andre, it looks like we have one in the Q&A box.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you see that, Roxanne?
I do see that, and I'm not sure how to address that. I don't work with the prize challenges here, and I'm not involved with that at all. So, if you submitted an application, I would just maybe reach back out to the person that you submitted that to. But I don't know. I apologize for that. That's not in my wheelhouse.
All right, and I'm gonna put my information in it's actually already in the chat box. Right, so my information is right there if you have any questions for me. And with that said, if there's nothing else, any other questions, Roxanne, I'd like to thank you for your time, and feel free to reach out to Roxanne, and also feel free to reach out to the MBDA, and then we can also coordinate if you're having trouble doing that. So with that, thank you, Roxanne.
Thank you, Andre. I appreciate the invite to come talk to your audience.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. And I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right. And so now what we'd like to do, I'm gonna put my mug back up here if I can, and it doesn't look like I can get my video working. Can we get the Sarah, is it my video? Okay. All right, so what we're gonna do now is Katie still here from B-Side?
Yep, I'm still
There she-
here.
All right, there she is. So at this moment, I'd like to introduce Katie Firmood from B-Side Lending. And just, I'm still enamored with the name, just so you all know. B-Side, the other side of a record. I know most of you young folks don't know nothing about that because you can't have a B-side of a CD, but that's okay. So Katie with B-Side, if you'd like to put your slides up, feel free.
Yeah, let me get it going here. Perfect. All right, can everybody see my screen that says B-Side Fund?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So B-Side Fund, we're a nonprofit lender here serving the state of Colorado in addition to Arizona, Utah, and New Mexico. We historically have roots here in the state of Colorado. We've been around since 1990 and are eager to help small businesses grow and expand. We really just want to be here to help small businesses grow, and that just means we want to foster the economic growth of all of your diverse small businesses. And how we do that, we have direct lending loans from 20,000 up into 350,000. And you can use loans for things like working capital, inventory, equipment, maybe you need to refinance some debt. And we have fixed loan rates, and we also have loan rates that are variable. So we have kind of two different buckets of interest rates that we can look at, but nothing is going to be higher than Wall Street Journal Prime plus 4.5. And the terms of our loans go from anywhere from 3 to 10 years. And we're here to help you grow and succeed, so we don't have any prepayment penalties within our loan programs. So if you find that along the way you're doing really well and you want to pay our loan down, we encourage that and find that as a success for your business. I kind of touched on this already, but the use of funds that you can use for the loan are highlighted here on the left. And then just some, general requirements. We do want a personal guarantee for any 20% or more owners. We require a blanket UCC on all your business assets, and we can come in second or third, depending on if you have other lenders in front of us. We do require that you have 10% equity to contribute to the loan. And sometimes we do require insurance dependent on the loan request. The application is pretty easy. So you'll start our eligibility check at bsidefund.org. From there, we'll set up a time to talk to you to see if you're going to be a good eligible fit for our loan process. And then from there, we just collect supporting documentation. We underwrite your loan. We have a loan review committee that it is presented to for the final approval. And then from there, we go to closing and funding. So our website, bsidefund.org, is where you can learn about all of our programs, our mission, our team. We also have some great resources on our blog for technical assistance and just a lot of really great information there. And I think this is my last slide. So thank you, everybody. I'm glad that this was a great session today. Good to meet you all.
Okay, so I'm gonna come in. Katie, are you still there? You're still there,
Yes,
right?
I'm still
All
here,
right.
but I gotta figure out how to get out of here. Hold on. Oh, here
right.
we go.
All right, so I like when B-side comes on because here's what happens. My job, my team's job is to help companies source, target, and secure governmental contracts or even corporate contracts. So with major corporations. And a lot of times what happens is even when we help a company win a deal and everyone's excited about winning the deal, then reality kicks in and say, hey, we have to finance these deals, right? So now we're behind the gun. We have a 30, 45-day start date, and now we're trying to get financing. What I invite people to do is build a relationship with B-Side before this happens, right? So that we know that we win this deal, we can now, turn that funding on and we won't have any hiccups. So even if you don't need funding now, I really suggest that people reach out to Katie and her team and just really get to know them. So that we can all understand what you're marketing, what you're selling, and how it applies. Because a lot of times, and I don't know, Katie, I don't know if you all do lines of credit or if they're straight loans or phase loans or any of that kind of stuff. But just get to know B-Side so that things work a little bit smoother. And with that said, it looks like it's 11:42. If there's any questions for Katie, this is a good chance to just initiate that conversation. Any questions?
Rhonda is asking just what you said, Andre, if B-Side offers lines of credit.
I was just going to address that. We don't. So we only do the term loans. So we don't have a line of credit option.
And I know you stated it, but for a company that's, let's say it's a micro company, right? And we're looking for our, we've never taken out a loan before, and we're a little intimidated because we're like, we've never taken out a loan before. How does B-Side look at someone like me as a small business who's going after their first loan?
Of course. We're very hands-on. So I mentioned that phone call that we wanted to kind of discuss what your needs are, what you're looking for, where you're at. And that's a really good starting point for us to understand, if we'll be a good fit and what you're actually seeking. From there, we have a really great desk guide that I can share in the chat that highlights all the documentation that we would want to see when you're applying for a loan. And that's a really good tool to have in your back pocket as a small business owner seeking financing for the first time, because they're going to be pretty standard documents across all lenders. And so you'll want to understand what those documents are. And if you need additional assistance gathering them, additionally working with other local technical assistance providers, getting those all gathered and and ready for applying for a loan is a very good place to start.
Okay. Well, while we wait for another question, let me be devil's advocate, right? Am I just a credit score, right? I'm an entrepreneur, I've been struggling with my business for weeks, months, years, and I got credit, but it ain't the best credit. Am I just a credit score?
Sure. Also a great question. So we have what we consider a credit score minimum of 630, but you're not just a credit score, because we do look at the history of what's gone on with your credit to understand how and why maybe your credit is where it's at. We do, with the 630 minimum, have the opportunity to right now explore adding on possibly a limited guarantor that might have a better credit score than you. Maybe it's another business owner or somebody else that can sit on the loan with you for a period of time that's going to bring that credit score up. So that's really exciting, and makes it so it's not just a credit score. Something to also think about in that vein is that maybe you have some past payments or something with your business taxes or your personal taxes, just making sure that you're on a payment plan and those are set up is also a really good step when we're talking about credit scores and being up to date on all of your personal and business accounts.
Excellent. And then, because I work with so many small and micro businesses, I can speak on their behalf, right? So another question would be, okay, I have business loans with third tier lenders, which in our world is called, merchant lenders, right? And the interest rate is killing me. Can you all help me with that if I get a loan from B-Side?
Yeah, absolutely. We do see a lot of times these higher merchant cash advance loans really hurting the business and their bottom line without those interest rates either being like daily or weekly, monthly, etc. So we do really help to look at that and can help refinance that debt into a payment that you understand every month is going to be that fixed interest payment. So that's really helpful too for the small business owner.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, looks like there's a question. Is there a question, Sarah?
There
Oh.
is. Do you see that, Andre?
Yeah. Well, you go ahead. There's two questions. So we'll take the first one first. Is Melissa. Do you work with Go ahead.
Let's take Rhonda's for Katie, because I think hers is for Katie. She is wondering if you can share a little bit on closing fees, and the best rates one could expect for good credit.
Sure. So our interest rates are not based on your credit score. So they're based on our funding sources available to us as a nonprofit lender. So we have a variety of different programming that we work with in the state of Colorado, and it's dependent on that programming where the interest rates come from. And then the second question was the closing fees can right now range from 2 to 4% of the loan amount. And interest rates right now, we have programming available around 6% up into the Wall Street Journal Prime Plus 4.5. So I think that's about 14%.
All right. So with that said, if there's no more questions, there's a question for, well, one just popped up. Melissa, I'll get to your question, so please don't leave. But there's a question, do you do loans in other states and other than Colorado?
Yep. So we're in Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah. So the four corners here. And if it's outside of that, we don't have any availability for funding.
Excellent. Can they utilize your service more than once? Say they take out a $10,000 loan, they pay it back, a $20,000, they pay it back, can they come back to you again?
Sure. We do have some guidelines because we're set up as a nonprofit lender to really help small businesses when you can't get traditional bank financing. So we want you as a small business to start graduating into that banking world eventually. So like, let's say you can't get traditional bank financing because you're seeking a $50,000 loan and the, bank that you work with doesn't have a loan minimum of that size. You have to go up to 500,000, let's say. Then that's where you come to us and say, hey, I can't get this small dollar loan I'm looking for. Can you help me? Yes, we absolutely can help you. Then once you have, once we look at your loan requests, do all the things, fund it. If you want to come back to us for an additional financing, there's just a couple things we have to look at. We have to make sure your loan has been seasoned long enough, you have been up to date on all your payments and things like that to do a second loan. And then after that, we do want to see you graduate into that business banking world, because at that point, you've probably had a few years under your belt. You're going to have maybe a larger request. You're going to have more relationships set up. And when you get into that, business banking world, you're going to find the best rates available because they're more competitive. And that's where we want you to end up continuing to grow into.
And do you, this is from Rhonda, do your rates vary depending on the state? Right, so is Colorado rates different than Utah rates?
That's a great question. Yes. There's different programming in each state. Since we are a historically based organization here in Colorado, we do have more funding options here with different interest rates. But it would really be dependent on how your business is set up and registered, and which, if you have multiple businesses, if it's one entity serving 2 states or 2 entities serving 2 states, we would need to really look into the details of that to understand who's applying and what options we have.
Excellent. So with that, I have a question then. Do you all interact with the SBA loan guarantee program?
So we do have a Community Advantage SBA program that we facilitate through our funding options, and that is a guaranteed loan. That is what we have available up into that $350,000 mark in the states of Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico.
And just for one moment, could you elaborate on what the word guaranteed mean? I know some people think it means that they're going to get the loan, or it means, you know, that everything is really, the effort has been put on the SBA and it no longer really covers me as far as my credit score and all of that kind of stuff. But can you explain the guarantee portion?
Sure. So those programs are really set up, you know, from the SBA to hit certain like community goals and development goals for small businesses. And so what they're saying is that, hey, we want to see you underwrite and see you take this loan and make sure it's a good deal before you bring it to us. But we're essentially going to say, hey, okay, we're guaranteeing up until 85 or 70% of this loan to you as an organization. And so the SBA is going to want to review your loan request. They're going to want to review all the financials and the things that we put together on our side to see if it's going to fit their parameters and their boxes. And really, once you get into that world, that's going to continue to build your business credit with that programming, and it's going to continue to build your, you know, any future financing requests that you might have in the future for, you know, if you go to a bank and you say, hey, I want to also explore this, they're going to see that you have that SBA guaranteed loan under your business health, and that's going to be a good sign for them too.
Excellent. Well, it looks like there's no more questions. I would like to thank you, Katie.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I love it when the people can answer the questions. That's so awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Great job. And as Katie stated, feel free to reach out to her and her team, and they'll answer any questions that you may have. And yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Right. And before everyone else leaves, there was a question from Melissa. She asked, does the NBDA work with technical communication firms to help support with technical writing and editing work? That's a beautiful question, and the answer is yes. The Minority Business Development Agency itself works with all types of companies, all social economic statuses of companies. Now, with that said, we do help with technical writing and editing. However, you will have to draft. So we'll clean it up, we'll put it in the right format, we'll tag it properly. But let's say I'm just making this up. Let's say you're doing drones or missiles or something like that, and it's asking for a technical element on management. Yep, we can tell you how to put that together, right? But we don't know anything about drones, right? We don't know anything about spacecraft. So you're going to have to draft something that we can come in there, put it in the right format, clean it up, and then give it back to you to see if that's the correct thing. So we can do that. We can help with all elements of proposal writing. We do not submit on your behalf, because if it's a portal, it has to be submitted through the portal, and that portal has to be registered to you. If it's let's say a hard copy submission, right? Someone has to submit that, right? Someone has to assume that cost. Maybe it's 3 hard copies, 1 labeled original. That happens. We do that. We look at the Also, we'll take a look at your matrix, right? Because you're gonna have to have a proposal matrix on larger proposals. We're gonna take a look at that and see if you're rating, are you writing to the rating scale, right? For percentage of win. So we do go through all of that. I have several proposal writers on my team, including myself. So yeah, we can help with all those elements. We do also help a little bit with sourcing ops, and we can go from there. And then I'm not sure if that question was for the, well, maybe it wasn't for the MBA, maybe for Roxanne, but we can help with that too. Great to hear about the proposal writing help. How do you get connected with resources? And is there a fee? Oh, Rhonda, everything has a price. Everything has a price, right? However, in this situation, the fee is actually paid by the federal government, your tax dollars. But with that said, what we do ask is that you stay in close contact with us, and if you actually win a deal, that you let us know, because we report that to our bosses in Washington, D.C., that allow us to keep operating. That is the price that small companies will pay for this service. But for most elements, our job is really to help you win. That's it. We can't receive commission. You can't pay us anything, or any of those kind of elements. All right, so it looks like the time is 11:56. And because we're so generous over here at the MBDA, we're gonna allow you to have 4 minutes of your day back. How about that? So if you have any questions, please reach out to us. Don't hesitate. If you're going after a deal and there's an issue or someone brings up a question, please call us. We're available. And with that said, everyone have a great day, have a great weekend, and look forward to seeing you all one day with some assistance. Thank you. Sarah?